If you're a man with cancer who feels fear rising before every scan, every test, every appointment with the doctor, this is the rule I use so that fear does not own my mind. Let me ask you a direct question. Is the scan what really terrifies you? Or is it something else? Hi, I'm Cloud, and I have lung cancer. Feels strange saying this out loud. This channel is my way of defying this disease, a place to regroup and gather my strength. I'm gonna need you in my corner. Here we will thrive beyond cancer. I truly pray that someday soon I can run again. In this journey that I'm on, I have discovered that what shakes me is not the machine, not the needle, not the lab works, the lab report. I think what truly shakes me is the illusion that my future sits in someone else's hands, in someone else's report. My brother, stay with me for the next 10 minutes, and I will show you exactly how this disciplined ritual keeps me moving in fighting this disease. Let's get this training underway. Before every scan, before every test, I practice what I call the 10-minute discipline ritual. It is not emotional. It is not dramatic. It is stoic, yes. It is surgical, perhaps, but it rebuilds my mind so I do not suffer twice. Here are 3 keys I want to share with you this evening. Number 1, sharp mental focus on what is within my control at that moment in time. Number 2, I do not dwell on this one particular thing today. It is just one task of the many things and the many tasks of today. And number 3, I ensure I remember and I enforce my meditative power to review my Stoic blueprint. Let's explore all these today. The first one is not something new. It is not a new concept. This is a concept we've been studying in this channel for many, many times already. And that is to focus on what is within my control, the things that I control over. I take a few minutes, 10 minutes. I sit or I stand in silence and I draw a hard line in my mind. On one side of that line, what I control. On the other side, what I can't and what I do not. I do not control the result of the scan. I do not control the radiologist's interpretation. I do not control whether cells behave or misbehave in my body. But I can control this. I can show up. I will show up for the test. I will see my doctor. I will do this examination today. In that sentence, I will show up, is my anchor. The Stoics teach the dichotomy of control. It reminds me that some things are up to me and many things are not at all. And my suffering begins the moment I confuse the two. So I strip away every thought that does not belong to my authority. What if it's worse? Not in my control. Remove it. What if treatment changes? Not in my control. Remove it. What if I disappoint my family? Not in my control. Remove it. I replace those thoughts with action statements. Look, this is elementary. I drive myself to the appointment. I fill out the paperwork with clarity. I breathe slowly and steadily. I look the technician in the eye. I conduct myself as a man. This is how I protect my identity. As a husband, a father, and as a man, my children do not need a psychic predicting the future. They need a father who shows up with steadiness. Show up with steadiness. My wife does not need a prophet of doom. She needs a partner who can stand firm like a man. Fear loses oxygen when I narrow my focus to one controllable act. I show up. The second one is I do not dwell on this test, on this exam. It is just one task of the day. I refuse to make this test, the center of my universe today. No. It is just one task. Not the day, not my identity, not my story. One thing only. The Stoics teach me that events are neutral. It is my judgment that gives them weight. When I label a scan, a test, a diagnosis, an examination, a blood work, life or death, I magnify it beyond proportion. When I label it as a task, at 10:30 in the morning, I shrink it back to its size. So, I ask myself, what's next? After the scan, what is next? Today. Yes, today. Work, mow the lawn, groceries, cook dinner, read to my kids. What's next? Look, my mind may want to sit in the waiting room long after I leave it. I do not allow that. I pivot. Pivoting is discipline. A boxer does not freeze after taking a punch. He resets his feet. He returns to guard. He throws the next combination. I treat the scan the same way. It happens, I step out, I move to the next responsibility. Because my life is bigger than a medical appointment. When I move to the next task, I reclaim my identity. I'm not a passive recipient of bad news. I am an active builder of a life. I cut grass. I answer emails. I fix the sink. I pray with my family. I live. And in living, I weaken fear. My brother, living in fear is not living at all. And so I act and I move on. Number 3, I enforce my meditative powers. And I do this by simply reviewing my Stoic blueprint. Look, I do not hope to stay calm. I enforce calm through mental training. In those 10 minutes, I review my Stoic blueprint. I remind myself, I prepare for adversity in advance. That's why I train. That is Premeditatio, Malorum. I imagine possible outcomes briefly so they do not ambush me. Practice voluntary discomfort. This illness is hard, but I train myself to endure hard things without complaint. I remember that virtue is the only true good. My character matters more than any scan result. So shh, calm your mind. I breathe slow. I inhale for 4 counts. I hold. I exhale slowly for 4 counts. I visualize myself walking into the room composed. I see myself steady. I see myself as a man at war, not a victim in retreat. Every obstacle reveals weakness in my thinking. Every wave of anxiety exposes where I still cling to control I do not possess. When I release that illusion, I gain something stronger. Real clarity, that is. I discover that my illness does not strip my manhood. It simply refines it. So when the next scan comes, the next test, I do not crumble. I apply this meditative rule, the 10-minute meditation rule. I control what I can. I treat the test as one task, and then I enforce my meditative discipline. Wherever you are, however you're doing, I pray you are standing firm in your identity as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a son, not defined by illness, but defined by the fight. If you find value in my Stoic blueprint, recover the body and rebuild the mind, please subscribe.